Topping the SportsMax Zone for this Wednesday, we will go to some swimming news and some news that has been considered excellent. Also anticipated by many, the plight of Guyana-born swimmer Delroy Tyrrell to change his nationality from Trinidad and Tobago is now at a successful end. On Monday, the 9th of September, the Guyana Olympic Association, the GOA, and the National Sports Commission of Guyana, the NSC, announced in a joint statement that they had ceased recognition of the Dwayne Scott-led Guyana Amateur Swimming Association. Now, among the many complaints, Fitzroy Tyrrell, the father of Delroy, had accused GASA of refusing to file the necessary documentation to World Aquatics, the global governing body for water sports, to facilitate a switch of allegiance for his son to his homeland. On September the 10th, 2024, Mr. Tyrrell took matters into his own hands and submitted the necessary documents to World Aquatics after a 2-year battle with GASA. And 20 days later, World Aquatics approved the switch of nationality. Here's what their communique dated the 30th of September stated. Rechange of national sports nationality, Delroy Tyrrell. Dear World Aquatics member, on behalf of World Aquatics, we write you concerning a request for a change of sports nationality dated 10th of September 2024 concerning Delroy Tyrrell, the athlete. Having examined the documents sent by the father of the athlete and the Guyana Amateur Swimming Association, we inform you that World Aquatics has approved the request for the sports nationality change of the athlete, born on the 31st of October 2002 in the aquatic sport of swimming, from Trinidad and Tobago to Guyana. Therefore, the athlete is entitled to represent Guyana in international competitions from the 30th of September 2024 onwards. Aquatic Sports Association of Trinidad and Tobago receives a copy of the present letter for its information. Respectfully yours, Jan Exner, Legal Counsel for World Aquatics. Now joining us via Zoom to talk more about this is the father of Delroy, Fitzroy Tyrrell. He had been on the show several weeks ago, voicing his disappointment at the process, which was far more difficult than he thought it would have been. But they have this saying, Fitzroy, that all's well that ends well. I'm not sure if that's how you're taking this recent development, Fitzroy.
Yeah. Good afternoon to your viewers and to all of you in the studio. Thank you for having me again. And yes, I like the way you started. It is excellent news. It really is. I remember sharing it. And before I even go further, we want to, the family, would really like to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for this victory, we call it, a tremendous victory. And I remember sharing it with my wife, and she simply breathed a sigh of relief to say that, you know, it's now through, it's now over. And so this is excellent news. This is something that we never thought when we started this journey that we would be so engrossed in a battle, you know, to get our son to change sporting nationality and to swim for the country of his birth. But all is well that ends well in one sense, but there's so many questions, there's so many things, so many thoughts I have as the news, I took the news, it sank into my soul. There's so many emotions after joy and, you know, a sense of rejoicing. But then there were some other questions that I had, and I was just there asking, why? Why was it necessary to endure all of this? You said that it took about less than a month, and that's something that struck us. You know, it's about 2 years or more since we started the journey, but to get a response from World Aquatics, it took less than a month. And one of the things I thought about was the comments that were made, written all over. Our son didn't satisfy the requirements. He will have to wait a year. That is the rule. I remember reading all those comments. But yet, in actuality, and if I may say this to your panel and to your viewers, I was thinking we did not have enough documents, yeah, and I was preparing to submit more. I was anticipating after a while that maybe they will ask for more. And so I started to gather other documents, only to realize that what we submitted was more than enough. And please note this, Mr. Whitaker and team, that the documents we submitted were the exact, not only the exact documents, but the same number of documents prepared more than a year ago to be submitted on his behalf. The same number and the same documents. We didn't need anything more in the end, as it turned out. So we're really thanking God, and this is exciting news.
Yeah. Fitzroy, we were drawn to this story by the decision by the Guyana Olympic Association and the National Sports Council in Guyana and their decision to withdraw recognition of the Guyana Swimming Association. That is what drew us to this story. That is what triggered this entire sequence of events. To date, there appears, as far as I am seeing, no advance on this story about the Guyana Swimming Association doing anything to resuscitate itself, to get itself recognized again. And it seems that with Mr. Scott as president, we're at a crossroads.
Yes. It is sad because if the country's governing sporting bodies de-recognize an Olympic sport, swimming, then, as you know, since GASA is an affiliate member of the Guyana Olympic Association, then usually when you're an affiliate member, you get funding for any major events and so on. You get support. The National Sports Commission would also fund your activities. Those are two of the main bodies in terms of funds for those activities. If those bodies decide that you are not recognized, we are in more than trouble and crossroads. It's almost as if swimming has come to a standstill. And I don't know what is being done. Something has to be done, because if they do not come back on board and recognize swimming, I'm already thinking about the future, because even though Delroy has now achieved, and we are so grateful to God, he's now achieved that change in sporting nationality. I'm not only thinking about him, I'm thinking about others, because what happens, and I think this is a question you had asked last week, what happens now to representation? Because remember, Gaza is supposed to be the body that is the governing body, and World Aquatics would recognize Gaza. So what happens if that body is de-recognized? How do we attend meets? And there's some things that maybe you don't know, and maybe you need to ask. But for example, I'm told that we have not sent a team to what is called the Goodwill Swim Meet, I think, for 2 years.
Yeah.
Why? What is happening to swimming? So even though our son has now gained that change in sporting nationality, will he now be able to represent Guyana if Gaza remains defunct, if the main bodies don't recognize them? And so you're absolutely right. That is a separate issue. But if it remains unresolved, then swimming could very well be retarded, and we are not progressing, but we are retrogressing.
Yeah, and you know, Fitzroy, you come on the show and you speak to us based on what Delroy is experiencing, but I'd love to get an insight into his, one, how he has received the news that he can now represent Guyana, and two, how is he feeling knowing all these different things are happening and really preventing him from representing the country that he would much rather represent?
Yes, that's a great question. One of the things as parents we tried to do was to keep Delroy focused. And I don't think a lot of focus or emphasis was placed on the mental thought processes, the mental health of this young man during this period, because to wait for 2 years and not being able to represent, for example, if this process took less than a month, it means Delroy, had the papers been submitted, would have been able to represent Guyana at the recently concluded not the Olympics. You see, that was a missed opportunity, and there are many other games that he missed. So it was not easy. I didn't give him the news. He was not the first person I called. I'm sorry. I called my wife first. And I think he saw the post that I posted on my Facebook page.
So you called your wife and you posted and you still didn't tell him?
I didn't tell him right away. I posted late. I think I posted after I spoke with her and he saw it. I then called him because what happened in New York, it was early. I was so excited, so I posted it about 6. And because he's at college, I knew he was asleep or something like that. But just about 7 or so, I called him. And it was a great relief off his shoulder. I think I saw him today posted on his Instagram page. It's just knowing that you don't have to worry with that. Of course, I like the caution that his older brother, who is also a champion in Guyana in terms of powerlifting, the older brother wrote on the family chat and said to him, the journey has now begun because now you have to go and prove yourself in terms of you've waited for this, you've gotten it. And you now need to really show what you're worth. But it was weight off his shoulder. He seems to be talking more. And I think he's ready to step into that pool in December.
Yeah. And Fitzroy, I just want to say, if you were my dad, you'd be in a lot of trouble, but you're fine because clearly he's okay with it. Now that he's representing the country that you would have battled for him to represent, right? Because this was a battle.
Yes, it was.
Do you think that there's a lot of pressure on him now? Because everybody's going to say, and, we try not to focus on what people say, but we're all humans and it's very, very natural, right?
Yes.
That everybody is going to be looking for some sort of success from him. So does he feel any sort of pressure? And maybe I'd have to sit and interview him one day and ask him, but what do you feel as a dad?
Yes, that's an excellent question because we're all human beings. And if I understand a little bit about human beings, then there will be those who will be looking, not necessarily with an eye to encourage him, but to see when he fails, to accentuate his failure. Yeah? And so you're absolutely right. There's going to be some pressure. But it is pressure that it takes to build muscles and to soar above the clouds. You need pressure. Pressure is a good thing. And you must understand that these things in life are just hurdles to take him to the next level. That's why there's I will not encourage him, neither is there in this family any hatred. There will be no repaying of evil for evil at all, because life presents you with challenges. It is now for him to rise to the challenge and to demonstrate that what he was born to do, what he's capable of doing, he's already begun to do it. At college, he has broken records, but because of the impasse, those things were not recognized. He has set records at the collegiate level already. And so while we try not to put a lot of pressure on him, I know now that he has been cleared, there'll be people looking, and if he goes to an international meet and he doesn't do well, there will be talks. But listen, this is a good lesson for him. He's got to learn to develop the muscles. And the greatest in the world thrive under pressure. The greatest.
Yeah, Fitzroy, just one more thing before you go, because I just want, on a point of clarity, the document coming from World Aquatics this week, on Monday it was, said that having examined documents sent by his father and the Guyana Swimming Association, so if there is confirmation that the Guyana Swimming Association did eventually send documents across the World Aquatics?
You asked if there's confirmation. I think that's a question you're going to ask Mr. Scott to come and answer. But if you ask me, I don't have any evidence. And the fact that you raised it, I smiled, because I too, when I saw that line, I said, but I don't understand this, because to the best of my knowledge, I don't think so, but you'll have to ask him. I think what happened, one of the documents has the signature of the president of Gaza.
Yes.
So I think I remember that was signed more than a year ago. So I think they're using that to say, well, they submitted. But
Yeah.
as far as I knew,
Yeah.
the family submitted his documents and there's no evidence.
Yes.
But you may have to ask the president of Gaza whether they did, and they must produce the evidence that they did submit.
Okay, well, the SportsMax Zone is happy that this has ended in the way that it has, Fitzroy. We're happy to be a part of exposing this story. But as you said earlier on, we are still concerned at the moment about the state of swimming and the governance of swimming in Guyana. And it's a story that we will continue to follow.
If I may, just before we go, I really would like to thank the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports, Charles Ramson, for his work. He pulled together a team, and he did an excellent job. I would like to thank the National Sports Commission, all of them. I would like to thank the Guyana Olympic Association. I would like to thank Delroy's Swim Club, Dorado Speed Swim Club, for their support, continued support. The media in Guyana. I want to thank SportsMax. Of course, you getting involved really took this thing to another level. All friends and all family members and all those who supported us during this journey, a big thank you from us.
Thank you very much, Fitzroy. And we will continue to be in touch because this story, as it now stands, part of it is settled, but there are still aspects of the entire story that need to be tied up. But thanks for talking to us, and we are happy that we were able to contribute to the journey of your son. Thanks.
Thank you for having me. Blessings.
Okay, and we'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.